from the slums of Shaolin, we bring to you
You God and
the Liquid Snake.
so I guess you're gonna be You God.
No.
Now we had to
Once
come
again,
up with something better. The
I'm on part
light
of the
skin genius.
I mean, we can go with that. You know, we're definitely part of the next 36 chambers. You know what I'm saying? So
the 72nd chamber.
like I said, I'm like
72 chambers, man.
I'm like the 37th chamber.
I'm gonna go with the 55th chamber.
I'm saying sounds about
My mama
right.
liked fives.
I'm saying
Makes sense.
matter of fact, now I'll be the 34th chamber. Shout out to Ricky Williams.
You're gonna end up on a mountain finding yourself.
Get
away from this life of drudgery and slavery.
The Great Mountain of Kush.
Exactly. Welcome back, folks, to the Perfect Plex podcast. Man, upon naming this thing, I didn't realize how hard that would be to say on a regular basis.
Triple P's, man.
Triple P, and not the triple P that failed America. But we don't talk about politics here. We're talking about basketball once again, just like in the little hit of TRT that we gave y'all.
A little teaser.
You know, hopefully y'all cycling off by now. You know, you can't let that rumble in your body too long.
It was just enough. Just
a taste. We're not on some Vitor Belfort levels right now.
No.
But welcome back. I guess this is part 2 to what we had started out in a little bit of the TRT at the end of the world. We're going to continue talking about bubble coverage, the second part or 1.5 part of our coverage.
I mean, it'll be a let's say three quarter full coverage, you know, because we're basically we're almost to the conference finals. You know, we
really quickly too. It was I mean, it's not that amazing, but it also is, because when this started out, it was just like, got the play-in, and it's basketball at 1:30 in the afternoon, and shit is great.
You really know how to feel about it.
And now suddenly, shit is just set now. Here we are in the Final Four, and that's it.
Yeah, it's definitely been a glorified summer league, but
even better, because at least in the summer league, the only drama there is what's the upside of X player, or what are they going to do?
It's really the main stars and who
and new coaches if they are coaching,
and really who really shows up, you know. So again, that's why I say it's glorified, because when you have brother KP and TJ Warren on the all bubble team, I mean, nobody was ever expecting that shit. So. But
certainly not TJ Warren, not even me, the resident Pacer fan, was expecting that shit. Even though I knew TJ Warren got busy, but not that busy.
I'm quite sure that the Suns are still missing him. Had they had him, they may have made it to that playoff.
Well, that's an excellent segue into a question I was going to ask in our last hit there. In which we really kind of sift through the main stories of the bubble. I would say the biggest story of the bubble, besides racism and the NBA losing ratings because of their messaging about Black Lives Mattering, and us living in a tremendously racist country that does not or is not trying to hear about a thing that is outside their lived experience. I'm sure shit would be different if, white men were getting gunned down at the rate that black dudes were, but it is what it is. You know, people always lean back on that, I don't want politics in my escapist, things or whatever, even though there's politics in every fucking thing.
If that was happening to white people, then there would never have been a bubble. The NBA season would have been diminished, vaporized, and we'd be lucky if we had a next season.
Word, there'd be a lot of marching in the streets. What I have to call them, peaceful protests, because it's only peaceful when white people do it, but it's riots and looting and thuggery when anyone else does it.
Mad rape and pillage.
But I promise we weren't going to talk about politics, but that was a leading thing that many people talked about. But for me, the main story of the bubble, besides Lemon Pepper Lou, is the Suns, and I don't want to say miraculous. That's not right, because they're a good team, and
they're a team on the come up,
and they have a top 5 guard on their team.
They're top. I mean,
a top 10 guard, maybe
top 10 guard, possibly a top 6 center, bro. Even though he
doesn't, and he don't get his due like ever. Like they don't talk about this man at all for some reason.
And sooner or later he will. Sooner or later.
Yeah, that's true. Like kind of like Brandon Ingram. Like he'll have his Brandon Ingram year, and then niggas will see. But about the Suns, 2 things. So first, we're gonna go with the salacious first because everybody always makes the jokes. In which, pardon me for not having her name in front of me right now. I had it earlier, but honestly, I don't care. And I'm not shaming anyone here. You could suck as many dicks as you want, but
it'd be like that sometimes.
Apparently, the Suns somehow snuck a how do I phrase this without being insulting? Lady of ill repute into
an extra guest.
Yeah, an extra guest into the hotel room with them, and she proceeded to suck all their dicks. Which again, I'm not kink shaming. You know what I mean? It seems kind of efficient, honestly. It was hard enough to sneak your own shorty in. D Book was trying to sneak old girl Kylie in and all this other shit.
You can't just sneak her in. So.
Nah, you can't. But she's also rich enough that they probably just got her in on some family shit. They're like, it's whatever.
Maybe.
Because she was there with him after they got eliminated and they were still in the bubble in Orlando. At any rate, so apparently this woman had, been snuck into their hotel room. She blew all of them because, you need some release when you're going through something super stressful and you're away from your family or you're a young buck, you're a millionaire. You used to...
You gotta get your mind off of things.
You're used to, seeing that neck on the regular from the hoes in your phone. And when you don't have that because you're completely locked down, you got to make do. And I give them all the respect in the world for making do, man.
Now, do we say that she brought them good luck or bad luck, son?
I would say good luck because even when that story surfaced in the midst of their run, they were still balling out.
Okay.
So clearly it didn't have an adverse effect.
Clearly she provided the team camaraderie that they
needed, the chemistry, man, because those dudes...
She brought the chemistry.
No joke, though. They were playing as a team, and not that they weren't before, and not that...
No, they definitely were a much more cohesive
They
unit.
were super together, in this run. You could be the staunchest NBA nerd in the world. No one could have predicted that the Suns were going to go on that run.
No.
Nobody.
No, you couldn't. How could you, man? How could you?
You could have maybe predicted that they made noise or that they were going to upset some people in the
they weren't even like if they were like the hottest team towards the beginning of the pandemic, so be it. But
they weren't even that.
No, they were just a team that you were like, all right, they just so happened to be making it to the bubble, and once they made it to the bubble, they wanted teams where you're like, yo,
this is our chance. Yeah, this is our chance.
And shit, they did that. They should have done that.
I mean, they did what a team in their position is supposed to do, which is, and you alluded to this in the hit a couple days ago, that you need to make the most of this opportunity. Not stars. Stars are gonna do what they do.
Everybody else, man.
The others need to really make this is where contracts were gonna be made and decided for sure. There's a lot of people looking at TJ right now. TJ Warren. There's a lot of people looking at who showed out, who's not under super contract right now. A lot of them Heat boys, they're looking at them. Even Russell Westbrook, even though the Rockets, flamed out spectacularly, and I know I'm jumping my point.
No, he's the reason they flamed out.
But they flamed out spectacularly, and people would still try to trade for him just because of the dynamic ridiculousness he provides. Even though,
I don't know about that. So.
Again, you and me don't know about that.
No, I'm saying but the league in general, bro, because they've already
his stock is definitely a little damaged, but even more than it was. But
a lot of league don't fuck with him. So.
That's true because again, he's showing why. It's not his ability. It's not because this nigga's fiery. It's not none of that. It's that when it come down to crunch time or whatever, this nigga is gonna shoot you out the game or turn the ball over.
Time, bro,
and again, I'll defend him. His turnover issue was not as much an issue this postseason. And I guess we're talking
erratic
about
issue was like that's always been an issue.
that's him though. You know what I'm saying? And
And
I don't want to make excuses because again,
no, that's not an excuse.
you're
That's
talking
why
about-
the league doesn't fuck with him.
you're talking about a former MVP. You're talking about someone who's been a top 10 player.
You're talking about somebody that's in their 12th year and still playing mad out of control.
and playing young and acting like he's not a leader. And
Bro, no quarterback in their 10th year would last doing the shit that he does, man.
Nah, I mean they wouldn't even get to the 10th year probably.
No, they wouldn't. They would get cut
less.
after 3.
Exactly. So, and again, I don't want to slam this man. Like, I believe in Russell. I just feel like he hasn't found the situation in which they can temper that temper because he's a fucking madman. Like,
at this point, I'm quite sure that there's no situation, son. There's none.
there are, but he has to go. He would have to go to losing teams to get right.
Even still, though, like, all right, what you just said, like,
yeah.
like a losing situation would not filter like that erratic shit, son.
Or-
if he goes
or-
to a losing team, then he's gonna be like, yo, I'm the leader automatically. Then he's gonna stay the same. The only way he changes is if he goes to a situation that has a strong culture and no strong culture wants him.
And there are some loser teams that have that culture, but again,
And even they don't want him.
To your point, it hurts them if they put him on their team, which is why I'm still shocked that Oklahoma traded him in the first place. Granted, they got Chris Paul, which fucking pulled him out.
They traded him and got better though. So.
Way better.
So
I'm not mad at it, but really, what made them better is the playoff P trades.
That's all.
Because they got what really makes them run from that trade, which was like 5 first-rounders, I think, SGA and Gallo.
I mean, altogether they got like
that's a lot.
They got like 5, like
picks?
6 or 7 picks. Man.
5 picks and 2 all-star level players.
More or less.
That's a lot, dude. Even
and
for
you
Paul,
you got the new hotness.
even for Paul, who's that nigga? Like, that's a lot. And then you parlayed Chris Paul. Like you made that happen. You know what I'm saying? Because the perception of Chris Paul is that he's cooked. He's washed, which is stupid because he's better than Russell Westbrook. But,
and he proved that
and
all
he
throughout
proved
the
that
season
mightily throughout the season and in the bubble. But we'll get to that. Maybe that might be what you want to talk about, what the surprise of the bubble was for you. Because they didn't surprise me because
no, that definitely wasn't.
They
a
played
surprise,
like dogs.
Yeah.
They did what they do.
That was the surprise of the season, but not the bubble.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I let's go back to the Suns. So the Suns went 8-0 for those who don't know in the bubble.
Which should have got them an automatic bid, but whatever.
Oh, is this where I make the rant now that I've been making for a couple weeks now?
I mean, you already brought it up, so you might as well.
So this is some bullshit because they were tied with the Spurs and the Pelés, right, at the bottom of the league. If you're going to invite the Suns into the bubble, which, again, made it interesting. It was a great idea, and, again, goes to Jalen Rose's idea that you should be putting in the top 16 teams and not bum-ass teams who have no chance of beating the first seed or the second seed. No chance. It'd be different if they were a contender or scrappy. You know what I'm saying? Like, Memphis wasn't going to get washed, but, like, they definitely weren't going to win that series, though. Like...
No.
But they really showed these dudes something for a team that essentially was playing without one of their best players. And
I mean, that was the main thing, though. Had they had the full roster, it may have been a different situation.
They would have beaten Portland because Portland wouldn't have been able to Nurkic wouldn't have had the game he had if 3J was defending him. No. But shouts to Nurkic anyway because he got an emotional game. He got to pay tribute to his dead grandma. R.I.P.
He did what he was supposed to do.
Good for him. I like Nurkic, so I'm happy for him. However, at the bottom of the league, you had 3 teams that were tied with 28, 29 losses each. All 3 of these teams, like, if you wanted to have a play-in, then we do round robin where they all play each other to figure out who's going where.
Yeah.
Or you do the tiebreaker rules, which is what they had done so many times in the past. And I don't know the specifics of the tiebreakers, but as far as I know, the Suns is going to win that tiebreaker based on how they've been playing in the bubble.
That's my point,
especially since those wins counted toward the record.
But look, if you go undefeated in the bubble, fuck Dame and fuck the Blazers, bro. Like, that's really why them niggas got it. And I understand that, but they didn't deserve it more than the fucking the Suns.
I agree because with those 8 games and my math, I'm not looking at standings right now or anything, but because I don't want to record or research while we're live here. But from the memory of me bitching about this and looking this up before,
it was the Spurs, the Suns, and the Kings.
And the Kings,
they were on the lower end.
They were in the dead heat because they each had 29 losses.
Yeah. And when
and
it
then
started,
you had the teams.
Memphis was number 8. Then they started losing. Then Portland became number 8.
Exactly. So there was all this weird shuffling here, whereas all you had to do was use the tiebreaker rule or some mini tournament, which would have been popping because the Spurs were playing well, for example.
Yeah.
And it would have added more intrigue to the pre-playoff games. But y'all are so thirsty to get the Blazers in. And granted, they had to beat Memphis to get in. But still, y'all basically set the road so that Memphis or Portland could get in because they have their thing that they have with the Lakers. And they have this story. You know what I'm saying?
And what did that really ultimately come down to?
Nothing, because as we've talked about, even though they were showing me something, they were definitely a surprise for me in this bubble. As I alluded to in the last episode snippet.
And then they had the max out just to like limp into the
just
playoffs.
To make it. And then they're in the playoffs and they play amazing, but
no, they played amazing for one game.
They don't have the gas. That's what
they got one game. That was an ill one game, but
that was game of the year though. Them versus Memphis was some shit.
No, I was talking about the first game with them and the Lakers.
Against the Lakers, I know. But I'm just saying, like, they totally gassed themselves beating the scrappy young team, then limped into the series against the Laker team that was not only well-rested, but the league is definitely stacked this season to give Braun that free ring, it seems like. So
about Braun and he's on the Lakers. So what do you expect?
Yeah. And you know, I want to give AD his due. He's been playing out of his mind, like in the way he should have been always. And
he has no choice.
And not that he was a bum or anything, but it was just that
he has no choice, man.
Like that's the only way they win a title.
Has to.
Even if they hand it to Braun, he has to play well for them to win the title. At this point, we're at the Final Four. Let's say they knock they knock the Clippers off.
Hey, well, we're technically not at the because we still got a Game 7 with the Nuggets and
that's true.
The
comeback Kings, bro. We'll talk about that in a second. But
the chalk Final Four is definitely Lakers and Clippers.
Exactly. Let's assume in pencil that we're gonna have the I couldn't even tell you the 405, right? That's a highway in California that they're always talking about.
Yeah. Well,
I can't say the Subway series because they don't have any fucking subways. But like,
well, it's the LA series, man. Or the Staples
series. There you go. But I'll assume that for now, even though I personally, because I've been talking about Denver for fucking months now, and niggas been fronting on a nigga, but it's fine. I get why. They're young. Let's assume that Denver doesn't pull it off. We got the LA series. That series like is gonna really determine like what grit that these niggas have in term both teams, honestly, because even though the Clippers on paper should be demolishing these dudes, they won't. I feel like they won't. I think it's going to be a dogfight because not only because of wrist mics and conspiracy, but because there are two teams that have been kind of limping a little bit. And I didn't want to make this about the LA. We're supposed to be talking about Suns, but I'm not trying to see Braun win another title, even if he does, even if he earns it, because all it shows me is that instead of, you know, and this will be a segue to what we were talking about earlier, if the season should have continued, given what had happened in Kenosha and all that.
No, it shouldn't have.
But we'll talk to that more. I just wanted to finish this point out with the Suns. The Suns had the tiebreaker, and even if they didn't, they should have played one of those other two teams for their chance to get in. It should have been like the
NIT. At least Memphis, man.
It should have been the NIT. Like, it should have been something that shows me, like, we acknowledge that these teams on the bottom are actually really fucking good.
You can't, like, they went undefeated in the bubble, and they got nothing to show for it.
After months of not playing.
That's what I'm saying.
Not
like
practicing. I'm sure they got together. I'm sure they did stuff, but for the most part, they didn't have anything official.
Yeah.
And these dudes pulled it together with a roster.
Nobody else went undefeated in the bubble. If that was the case, I would let it go. But
no one even went 7-1. No one even went anything like they went.
Exactly.
In those first games. And a lot of niggas tried to downplay it and be like, oh, well, dudes are rusty and the best teams, obviously, they're young.
But they went 8-0.
They're young bucks. And
they went
8-0, beat the Rocks. They beat top teams.
They beat all the teams they be playing right now. They beat already.
They beat teams that are still here in the bubble. They beat handily on top of that. Handily. Or came back. because Devin Booker is that dude. But like,
Not to mention, like, that's probably the one team niggas said it was the Blazers, but that's the one team that nobody wanted to see. In the
I was
playoffs.
saying it was the Blazers, but at the same time, I like the Suns. I would have loved. They showed me that they earned it. The Spurs didn't show that. The Spurs are playing fantastically. They didn't earn it.
No.
They're not in. They didn't get in. You know what I'm saying? The
No.
Timberwolves, who was like everybody's favorite team, weirdly enough.
Nah, they
on
didn't
the
make it.
low.
It was the Kings.
No, I know that. I'm just saying that they were. People were talking about teams that couldn't even mathematically make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Niggas was talking about, oh, just let Golden State have it because, why not?
I mean, I would have if you got a healthy Steph. Why not? But,
Sure, but numbers wise,
record wise,
they are mathematically eliminated. That'd be like, then that's me like saying, well, put the Knicks in. You know what I'm saying?
Well.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
this is another situation.
You might as well. The Magic, for fuck's sake, and I don't want to shit on the Magic, but the Magic were in. Like
the Knicks, were one game away from being in that shit. All right.
Yeah, they were
because
one
of
game.
The
and again,
Wizards.
we're talking about tiebreakers, right? That figured into it. So it figured in for the basement team in the Knicks, but it didn't figure in for the hottest team in the league at the time.
No,
that's fucked up.
No, it did. No, it didn't.
That's where I will tell you, sports fans, and I've said this many a time too throughout the years, that the NBA is fixed because if I'm Adam Silver and I see these niggas cooking, I'm in that wrist mic being like, yo, these niggas got to be in the postseason. I don't even care. I
mean, honestly,
I don't even care about Dame right now. Like, I don't even care about
with adjustments, but they obviously did.
They could have made room for them. That's all I'm saying.
They didn't because they at no point thought that these niggas was really going to do what they did.
But if that's the case, then why allow them? Why allow those bottom feeder teams when all you had to do is just do top 16, realistically?
Well, because they were part of the top 16.
They were. But I'm saying, but again, they had 29 losses with two other teams. Like, they usually sort that math out before the postseason starts because tiebreakers matter. And that's why I ranted so hard about it. Tiebreakers matter.
That was a combination of what it was and, like, what they couldn't do.
And they were throwing shit together hastily.
Yeah, exactly.
I get that. I do. I wanted to see basketball as much as the next man. Like, I get that you just wanted to keep shit moving. But you don't ignore an 8-0 team. That's a story.
Look, me, I would have just had it be them 8 games. I would have probably had it be 10 games. And fuck the regular season records. Whatever happens in them 10 games, that's how you...
I don't know if we recorded this, but we had talked about this.
No, we didn't.
Which is, this should have been a tournament because essentially that's
a 10-game joint and whatever your record is after
that's
that.
Involved because, again, apparently your records didn't even matter.
That's what I'm saying.
So you could have had a fresh start with the top 16.
Like 10 games, do what you do, then boom, boom.
Then whoever seeded is seated where they're at, and we could have really had something, but...
They fucked it up.
I know they fucked it on purpose because if that was the case, the Bucks aren't anywhere near the top seed because they were getting
Bucks
smoked.
or the Lakers.
Excuse me, the Bucks or the Lakers because they were getting smoked. The Clippers came slow out the gate.
Yeah, all of them.
All the top teams came slow out the gate with the exception of the Heat and the Celtics, really. So and Oklahoma, who they again continued to front on, even though these niggas were the 4th seed. Like,
I mean, well, it's Oklahoma, and again, rightfully so, they got fronted on. In the right regards
but they were arguably the hottest team. You want to talk about hottest teams going into virus time?
Before the season started,
they were definitely one of them.
Before the season started, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Going into the bubble, whatever. But nobody saw the Thunder doing what they did. Son. Truthfully,
not what they did, but I saw them achieving for sure because you don't have Chris Paul on your team and SGA and the talent they have, and you don't do nothing. Especially since their division is kind of weak. Like.
Mm-hmm.
I said kinda like, but they pieced it together. They did the smart thing you're supposed to do.
They did.
You beat the niggas you beat, and they did, and then you fucking give hell to the niggas who beat you.
But them niggas having the 4th or 5th seed, son, nobody would have called that, son.
No, not at all.
At all.
I would have said the 8th.
Yeah, exactly.
7th at best.
Exactly.
Even when they were on their run, I was like, they're gonna get to
exactly.
like the 7th seed, which will be great. Yeah. Or they'll come up against Denver and they'll get washed out because they can't deal with the numbers of Denver. But then they overachieved, and they showed that, one, Chris Paul was clear on the mission, as usual.
Motivated Chris Paul.
And they finally had a team that does what the Thunder did, which is why, on a side note, I'm really fucking upset that they fired Billy Donovan because it doesn't make any sense to me. They had their best season so far with him at the helm, and this nigga coached Westbrook's MVP seasons or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like... this is when you fire him, because they had a catastrophic loss at the end that they fought tooth and nail for, and only lost really because of like sketchy reffing, honestly, and the fact that they wanted, like, the league obviously wants the Rockets to make it far because of various reasons, James Harden, etc., whatever, Westbrook, you name it, but there's an agenda there, and for Oklahoma City to be like, nah, us now, because we're that good, and they are that good, said a lot to me. And again, all you heard in the narrative was Blazers, Lakers, this Clippers. Like, you kept hearing about the Bucks who were getting smoked up more than these teams who were really balling out. Denver's the third fucking seed, and you don't hear about them. Even though they have had many more they set the record, haven't they, for the most comebacks?
No. They just have like a good record.
But they're on a run right now.
No, they are.
And it's funny because I'll be watching these games and like Jamal Murray was going like 4 for whatever, and they won that game somehow. Son. Like, well, Paul Millsap turned up, but
that's all cool.
That was spectacular. You know what I'm saying? But that tells you that they have it. And I guess maybe
they're showing me fight, bro. But I've seen other teams have fight and still not be anywhere.
They showed more fight last year.
That's my point.
They did.
So you can show all the fight in the world that you want to, but when it's time to really fucking close shit out, because all right, look, you were already down 3-1 to Utah, right? You down 3-1 to these dudes. How long is that down 3-1 shit gonna last?
I don't think very long, honestly. I think they're on the come up. Honestly, even whether they get eliminated or not, or make it into the finals,
but like again, you can't keep going down 3-1.
No, that's a lot. That's emotional. Forget the physical toll it takes on you.
Not to mention they lost a Game 7 at home last year, so, to a team they should have beaten.
Yeah, and they had the momentum against. But again, nerves. You know, it got to them. They were young. They were tired. I get it. And in this case, again, it's a similar situation. Same as the Rockets. The reason Rockets flamed out is because their key piece flamed out at the worst possible time.
Which he always does.
You know? And not just Westbrook. It happened to Chris Paul.
No. He
caught the injury.
It happens to all of them, son. The Beard, Westbrook, all of them, son.
Tracy McGrady, like, you name it. You know, the Rockets are cursed in some way. But, like, for some reason, Yao Ming, you know, Stevie Francis.
It just be like that.
I don't know. Someone's mad at the Rockets, clearly. But my point is that, you know, we think we're real clever as marks and fans, and we don't know shit, ultimately. We can infer, we can guess, we can do all the things in the world.
I don't care about knowing shit, bro. I just go by what I see.
But again, I feel like our mindset is we're making the takes we make not just to make the spicy take or to sound good.
I don't make takes, bro. I look at what I see.
I am analyzing what I'm watching.
Yeah.
This is what I see. And this is how I feel about it.
So that's not overthinking shit. That's like, they can make it seem like we're overthinking shit, but when it comes time to react and the product is on the floor, you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I'm seeing what I'm seeing for a fucking reason.
And also I feel, and not that I'm trying to be on some elitist, you know, sportsman shit, because I'm just some nigga. But
but common sense. That's
what I'm
talking about is common sense.
We're looking at it from like, and we all analyze as marks, but like, there are a lot of people who, and this isn't calling anyone out in particular, I'm not starting no beef or nothing, but there's a lot of people in particular on your social medias and otherwise where they wanna be the oracle. You know, they want to be the ones to be like, see, I called it. See, I knew it. See, I knew this.
I don't give a fuck about prophecy.
You know, my hot take was the rightest.
I don't care about that.
The most correct. Bro. And I think that's what it was. And like you said, no one could have predicted what the Suns did to close that point out. And they should see some justice. They won't, but at least they fucking showed that they're real as a team. And because a lot of people,
they showed fight. They showed cohesiveness in regards to being a team. They showed you everything that you would want a playoff team to look like.
And more importantly, they showed that as a young team, you know, again comparing them to Denver, since we're talking about them right now, as a young team, they pulled together in a way that was not expected of them, as I mentioned some minutes ago, and they showed me something. And like Devin Booker, like, not that I doubted him or anything, but he showed me that he could be a leader and not just the main option on his team with that run.
Yeah.
And that's great.
Yeah.
Because me, I'm thinking, oh, they're only on this run because Ricky Rubio there, or they're only on this run. Ricky didn't even play that much. So
No, they had
so
their foundation
they
set,
have a
man.
squad.
They had their
like,
foundation set, and they've been able to build based upon
and they
that.
believe in each other, and they like each other. There's very little substitute for a team that like each other. That's why the Heat is really cooking right now. Besides the fact that they're fundamentally sound and have the coaching they have and all that, they like each other. They like playing together.
Yeah, they definitely do.
And Jimmy was the missing piece
No,
for them.
he's perfect for that culture, man.
So again, to finally finish the question, yes, the Suns deserve the chance to get into the playoffs. They deserve the chance to face the Lakers, whether they got smoked or not. And I would have loved to have seen that. I would have loved to have seen those matchups, especially since at the time the Lakers didn't have any guards besides Jr. and Dion. And Alex Caruso, but
they had enough guards for these dudes.
But not in the not the caliber of guard.
That's why I say they had enough. They had enough.
Like
of
Ricky
guards.
versus Alex Caruso, who you take?
At this point, I don't know.
No.
At this point,
I'm taking
I don't
Ricky.
know.
Even though Alex,
right now, I don't know.
Shout out to Alex, you've been playing good, so
I don't know.
I'm not gonna shit on you, Alex Caruso. You got the head, man. You good money.
Right now, I don't know.
So I guess the next thing I wanted to talk to was a thing I already alluded to, the losing of the ratings and kind of a sinking of the brand in a way, because as I said before, we are in a country that is extraordinarily racist and believes in white supremacy for one reason or another. Well, many reasons that I can't go into right now.
Message.
However, a lot of folks chose to abstain from the season and boycotted the season in the way that much of Black America boycotted the NFL, much in the way that many people boycotted many things, and it kind of showed up again in this weird way of like, yeah, people say lives matter, but it's just like when you have to put it into practice, you're showing us or people, and again, I'm not here to be like the arbiter of like, you should watch basketball because Black lives do matter. Yes, Black lives do matter, but if you're someone who doesn't give a fuck, I can't blame you if you don't, and many people don't in this country, and that's their prerogative, even though I think it's retarded. But you know, they're
some Bobby Brown shit.
They're entitled to their opinion, and I'm entitled to mine, and it makes me wonder going forward, just like with the NFL, because now you see the NFL, now that the season has started, you see them pandering to Black Lives Matter. You see them pandering to you see them doing this performative bullshit that you know they don't believe in because of their actions prior to this season. It smacks of desperation, and I don't want to make this about the NFL, but it smacks of desperation from these major corporations, the NBA, the NHL, the NFL, you name it, to pretend like they give a shit about their slaves when they have constantly said that they don't. And it's astonishing to me that they will continue to fake this bullshit out. And that's just what I wanted to talk to. Like, where is politics' place in sports? When will the league return to normalcy? When will there be some semblance of, I don't know, like things being normal or things feeling like, if they ever will be, because I don't think they ever will be. But it is interesting to me that suddenly when we're talking about Black Lives Mattering, suddenly people don't want to watch the NBA anymore. A league that is 85-90% white, probably more than that, but I'm trying to be fair to the international players. Shit, even in the NFL, like, even though it is performative, they're at least trying something. And I just kind of want to not just talk to my partner, but talk to every one of you. Like, what is the future of sports here? And in a kind of this post BLM era, you know? And I don't know what the path forward is. I don't know what the answers are. I don't know what I guess what the point. I don't want to say what the point is because there is a point, but I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel where there is some level of acceptance without people feeling like, oh, the NBA is just pandering. Oh, sports are just pandering. Oh, they don't believe in anything. Oh, this. Oh, that. Like, you can point to numerous arguments made about this. And for me personally, I can only say that, of course, you should champion the causes of the day in a mostly black league. And even if they weren't black, like, of course you should champion the causes of the day. You are public figures. You are people who are always talking about giving back. And I'm not just saying to the players. I'm talking about owners. I'm talking about people in the mechanism of these sports leagues who don't necessarily want to give back, who don't necessarily want to acknowledge what is essentially a slave trade to get into these professional sports and to get in at the highest level. And it's often okay for the athletes to play, but not to protest the world around them. There was the Kenosha shootings a couple weeks ago by, I don't even want to say his name because then it gives him relevancy, but by essentially a domestic terrorist who drove across state lines or had his mama drive him across state lines to protect property he didn't own in Kenosha, Wisconsin. He killed 2 people in the fall, and this was in the fallout of the Blake shooting, when Mans got shot in the back 7 times by the cops, basically for nothing. And this kind of leads to what my next question was. Besides, what does politics place in sports, and what does it mean to kind of feel like you're actually contributing in some way besides being out there on the street, besides, whether performative or not, you're doing something. So I guess that's what I wanted to ask you, like, what is the way forward? I guess I would say, like, how do you make change? How do you make this mean something without cheapening it, or making it a performative thing, or making it about,
commercial,
or making it about a commercial thing? And I'm not knocking the NBA or any of the other sports leagues for making the money they have to make, given the pandemic situation.
I mean, look, at this point, it's way beyond that.
Well, that's what I wanted to talk to. I felt I was rambling a bit for the last 3 minutes there, but
I mean, rightfully so.
But I wanted to really order like how I felt about this shit, because me personally, I am ecstatic that basketball is back. I am no different than any sports fan. I was ecstatic that fights are back in the UFC. I was ecstatic that anything is back, even if I don't fucking watch it.
Shit was weird without it.
I'm ecstatic that baseball is back, even though they haven't figured out how to keep people from dying or getting infected. But to that point, like, I didn't think the season should have gone on after those shootings happened. If you're LeBron James, and I don't want to single him out here because there are plenty other activists in the league.
Oh yes,
and in other sports and all that.
Shout out to Jaylen Brown,
especially or Enes Kanter. Enes Kanter.
Well, I mean, Enes, even before all this happened.
Well, he was real because
you mean Enes had things going on.
He's from Turkey, like he
had things going on.
He's been dealing, but that's
especially when he was on the Knicks, he had things going on.
That's what I'm saying. All that Turkey shit factors in because it's no different over there. It's the same.
Oh
struggle.
no, yeah, yeah.
Except out there, it's even crazier because shit is a little more homogenous. But like, he had to deal with the fact that his dad is essentially a political prisoner, like trying to get this nigga out the country and all that.
I mean, his fam, pretty much.
His fam, he was really worried that they would kill his whole fam just because his dad won't stop running his mouth against Erdogan.
And he wasn't sending them Carmelo jerseys out there.
Yeah, exactly, or them Dana Brooke sex tapes.
I mean, well, listen, boy, if that's all it took, then I think I blame Enos, but that's a different conversation.
Whatever.
If that's all it took,
I'm cool with Dana Brooke sex tape. But at any rate,
if that's all it took, you know what I'm saying? That's easy.
I doubt it because he's still hated. They still trying to.
I mean, but
things seem to have calmed down a bit in that case.
That may have cooled things down a little bit, though.
Possibly, but at any rate, like, what makes you? I don't want to say makes you real because that's not fair either. But like, if you are in Bron's position, someone who clearly has a lot of influence, power, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you stop the season? Do you stop playing, even though you want a ring desperately, which he has said? Like.
I mean, that's a hard question to ask if I'm LeBron. If I'm somebody else, then it probably is a. Well, if I'm anybody else that isn't on the Clippers, I would say the Bucks, but they've been brushed.
Hindsight is 20/20 on that one.
Well, no, it's not. Yeah,
But actually, yes, it is, because when the Kenosha shootings happened, they refused to play.
They weren't the first ones. The first ones were Toronto.
They weren't.
The Raptors.
But the point is, they said we're not playing. Which, much credit to them, because they didn't have to do that. Especially as the number 1 seed. Like, people tuned into the